In a speech on the Arizona State Senate floor on Monday, Democratic State Senator Eva Birch shared a deeply personal story underscoring the real impact of abortion legislation on people's lives. Senator Birch told her colleagues that she recently discovered she was pregnant, a pregnancy that her family wants. But after a recent checkup, she's learned that she has to get an abortion because of her health and because of the condition of the baby.
After numerous ultrasounds and blood draws, we have determined that my pregnancy is once again not progressing and is not viable. And once again, I have scheduled an appointment to terminate my pregnancy. I don't think people should have to justify their abortions, but I'm choosing to talk about why I made this decision because I want us to be able to have meaningful conversations about the reality of how the work that we do in this body impacts people in the real world.
Now that Arizona State Senator Eva Birch joins me now. Senator, thank you so much for coming on. It's hard to not listen to this and be heartbroken and struck, and also so impressed with your courage about talking about this so publicly while you're still absolutely in the middle of it. So thank you for coming on. You made very clear why you decided to speak out about this, that you're hoping to move this fight, this debate around reproductive care and abortion into a conversation, a more meaningful conversation than what you're seeing right now. What have you heard from people since telling your story this week?
The response that I have had has been really overwhelming. And honestly, it's been overwhelmingly positive. So many people who are coming forward with their own stories and their own experiences. And I think that the most important thing that we can really get out of all of this is, what should we be doing different? What should we be doing better? And how did we get where we are now? And how do we go somewhere that's a more honest and accurate picture so that patients are having the experiences that they need and deserve in the clinical setting, instead of having this mandated rhetoric that is really souring the experience and leading to potentially worse outcomes and just worse quality of care.
In your remarks, when I was watching it over and over again, you said, once again, you determined the pregnancy isn't viable, and once again, you have to schedule an appointment to terminate the pregnancy. Can you share a little bit more about your journey with trying to have children?
Yes, I'm very comfortable having that conversation. This is my fourth pregnancy loss. I have two children who I carry very safely to term, but for whatever reason, I've had some difficulty. And a lot of it probably has to do with my age. I didn't meet my husband until a little bit later in life, and we have tried, but we've decided we're not going to try anymore. And I know people can be a little bit reluctant to ask about where I am in the process, but I did have my procedure yesterday, and I'm very comfortable talking about that if anybody has any questions about it. But you know, that's something that it's the second time now that I felt like that was the right decision for me. And I think that we have this stigma that certain individuals try to push about who the abortion patient is. We need to have a more honest and accurate conversation about the abortion patient.
Sharing that you had the procedure, you had the abortion yesterday, how are you feeling? I mentioned that you're in the middle of it, but this is truly happening in real time in this environment that we know. In Arizona, it is a huge conversation around, it's a 15-week ban in Arizona now. There's conversations about it being a near total ban. But sharing this so publicly, this doesn't happen very often, Senator. How are you feeling?
To be honest with you, I'm feeling really good. I'm feeling so lucky to have the opportunity to hopefully and potentially make an impact. Arizona is a swing state. We are really right in the thick of this conversation about how does healthcare impact the voice that voters have. And I'm just so hopeful that people will really be able to take this conversation and that it will translate into action, that people will be more interested in the political process. They'll be more interested in their local elections and in what they can do to move the needle in the right direction. My experience at the clinic yesterday was was really as good as it could be. I felt so welcomed. I felt like I had all the information that I needed. I felt like I was getting such superior care, and I felt fine. You know, a little bit crampy, and of course it's disappointing to be in this position again. But I got in my dad's truck and we went to the drive-thru, and I went home and sat on the couch surrounded by people who I love, and I have felt good since then.
I'm happy to hear that. I'm really happy to hear that. I noticed you told the Washington Post that your office did that when you were giving your speech, when you were talking about your story on the Senate floor, you saw some of your colleagues, some of your Republican colleagues, leave the chamber during your remarks, including the top Republican in the state Senate. Have you talked to any of them since the speech this week about that, about this moment?
No, I've had a number of people reach out to me. None of them have been my Republican colleagues, but I think we also have to look at the landscape of the legislature right now. Even though we only have a 1-seat deficit in both the House and the Senate, that's not how the legislature is really operated in Arizona. None of our bills get heard. None of our bills barely ever make it to committee. I've had one bill be heard in the last 2 legislative sessions. So there's not an accurate representation of the people of Arizona in the legislature, because that's not how Republican majority leadership is running the legislature. They're running it like it's a monopoly, and the people of Arizona are not being heard. So I'm not surprised about the outcome of giving that speech. I'm not expecting things to change within the chamber. I'm expecting things to change in Arizona. I'm expecting us to make the difference, because that's the only opportunity we have left.
State Senator Eva Birch, thank you for coming on.